everyone. Welcome to today's session and conversation on Beyond the Buy Box podcast. This is an extra special one for me. I feel like this is like the OG crew coming back together and one of the original kind of trailblazers in this industry, Aisha Khan, who I just tremendously respect. And I think I know anyone who has gone from large CPG running some of the biggest businesses, Amazon Beauty with the likes of J&J, L'Oreal, also GM CEOs turnaround, working as chief strategy officer for companies like Packables, sitting on the agency side of the house now with WPP as the head of retail media and digital commerce with the Unilever accounts. The hats that you've worn, Aisha, over time is incredible. And I'm excited to pick your brain about all things brand and building a healthy business, but really holding on to a level of control, which I know I'm sure in all these seats, doing that and the effort that goes behind it is crazy bananas. And I'm sure you have a lot of stories that you can share with us.
Plenty of stories. It's a privilege to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Jen. And I've only been able to accomplish what I have because I've learned from the best. So many moons ago, I was on your team, and that's made a long-term impact on me and really shaped how I think about not just strategy and marketplace and Amazon and beyond, but even the way I think about people and leadership. So thank you so much for that.
Of course. So let's get into it. You know this space in the digital kind of arena better than most people out there. Tell us about any times or, instances that stand out to you where disruption sort of knocked you off your feet, where you had a plan, you were sort of going down a certain path, and something happened that you needed to pivot. And take us through what that situation was or situations and some of the ways that you work through those challenges, especially in this universe where things are never predictable. As much as we want to plan, there's always something that kind of gets in your way.
Yeah, that's the nature of the beast for e-commerce, marketplace especially. It keeps you on your toes. But the story I'll share is one of the first times that I experienced disruption, and I'll never forget it because I was at J&J, and I think I was a newly promoted senior manager, and I was so excited. There was so much traction at that time on the Amazon business. I was leading, to your point, the beauty and personal care portfolio, which was beauty, but also Listerine fell in that book of business because of personal care. It had one vendor manager at that time. And our hero Listerine SKU gets delisted off Amazon. I mean, one of our biggest money drivers, revenue drivers of the business, gone from the platform. And I'll never forget, the VP of marketing comes over to my desk and just goes, "Can you just turn this back on? But like right now, like just turn it on, just call them and turn it on." And I was like, Okay. And I'm like terrified. So I remember myself, my manager at the time, we're like, what are we going to do? We tried to call the vendor manager, the dollars they were asking for, and the investment was so high. And I remember taking a step back and then looking at who is this pharma packs that's actually catching all these sales. And so I think that was the first experience in which J&J even woke up to the fact that there's obviously disruption that gray market causes, but also where were they getting all this inventory? And it was such a mystery at that time. And so it kind of led to this much broader world of opening up to partnering with a third party, creating hybrid strategies, and then starting our journey with figuring out gray market management. It was always kind of this don't ask questions, like what you don't see doesn't hurt you. But at the same time, it was a pretty tangible piece of business, especially because J&J had decided to stop ship Amazon in 2010, 2011, because they weren't adhering to MAP, which is funny. So big mistake. And so we were coming back from that and trying to clean up so much of this gray market just through distribution, but not through true management. And so that opened up the first time that we were like, okay, we need a partner. And actually, Patu was one of the partners we looked at. I think we actually engaged and had a pilot and scaled that over time. But that was instrumental because it actually moved the needle in our ability to manage gray market on the SKUs that mattered, and then also create just a holistic strategy around 3P and gray market that was coordinated. And so, yes, that was the first time that I actually was like, it was my oh shit moment, as a new senior manager for like, how do I solve for this and managing that disruption.
And I know that there's still those moments of easier said than done with Amazon. Can you just do this? Can you plan this and make that happen? It's funny you mentioned, pharma packs eventually becoming packables as, that business grew. Give us a little bit of like the insider view of one of the largest global resellers out there. I know set on a very different path now, but in your time there, when you were chief strategy officer working with the Andrews and of the world, what did you see that was like surprising? But having been on the brand side, knowing like, okay, you gotta keep folks close that can help you in this wild, wild west of marketplaces. What were some of the things that you learned, sitting in that role?
That is such an interesting question. It's 8 a.m. Otherwise, I would be sitting here with a drink and like actually sharing with you all of the war stories because I had started there, right? They were the largest 3P seller of CPG products at that time, maybe in the world, but definitely in the US. And COVID hit 30 days after I started. It was just wild. But I learned so much in that time. And probably the biggest takeaway, particularly for the audience that listens to this podcast, is probably like marketplace is as much of an art as a science. And,
Mm,
large companies in particular, they're very data oriented, measurement oriented. Data science on steroids is really what AI is. It's there's so much to measure and
mm,
overthink, and right, you can get lost in that sea of metrics and models so quickly. And what I just loved is, to your point, it was like a founder team of like three really tight knit guys from Long Island and New York would sit in a room together every day and literally like their top ASINs, like they would look at sales, they would work on strategic work, partnerships, but a lot of it was honestly looking at the business, looking at Seller Central, and being like, huh, sales on this doesn't look so great. Let's just drop the price 10 cents, 20 cents. And like, boom, like you'd get 100K of sales like the next day. Like they didn't really overthink it. They would price drop it carefully. They knew elasticity like in their mind, just doing it like
mm,
muscle memory for their top items. It seemed to fly by the seat of their pants, but it wasn't. It was just a lot of art and science. They had done this so much and they didn't overthink and they just moved quickly. And they were first to market. Even when COVID happened, they're like, what are the things people are going to want? It's going to be cleaning supplies. So let's make sure those are what we prioritize. And so of course, they looked at some data, they'd pull reports, but a lot of it was instinct. And so much of that in marketplace, you just kind of need to move and test and play. Their marketing and media was also so fascinating. They just trusted a lot of Amazon's algorithms. It was just a chunk of
mm,
money they put in auto campaigns. And they had a media manager who actually did a good job of trying to take some of those auto campaigns and, make it into manual and science it. It was ironic because some of the auto campaigns actually ran better than the ones that we tried to manually create because they didn't care about branded and cannibalization. They were the cannibalization. They wanted the cannibalization to them. And so it was just really interesting how much they cared about their time and what they did with instinct for marketplace.
yeah. It's such a good anchor for all of us that are in this world of a lot. And you try to get the right signals and kind of plan on a dime. And I think you're so right in, being here at Patu, which is also founder, investor sort of led organization with Fred Dimian, having also run a 3P business. So I can appreciate like, and I've seen it in action of like, okay, at the end of the day, like here are the things that we know we have to go after. Now, taking that and as you made your moves into the agency world, I know we were just kind of catching up and rallying an organization to make the right moves and also experiment, especially when you're trying to put a consumer experience with a brand in a certain position, in the universe. I'm curious, you mentioned you can analyze or sometimes gut instinct, art and science. What other tactics have you taken with you over time? You're like, this is my tried and true. Here's the one or two things, no matter what situation, what evolution of the circumstances that you're leading, that you live by.
That's a great question. It's been very top of mind for me, but I think it's two things and both are related to talent. And I think it's like in this space, I'll take hunger and perseverance over knowledge. Like you can learn this space, but what I can't teach is this ecosystem will continually knock you down on your feet. Listerine was the first of many examples of constantly getting knocked down. It's a whack-a-mole game. It's hard. It takes a lot of that just constant confidence in yourself, but also just like persistence and perseverance. So I look for that above all else. And the second thing is curiosity, because every day it's something new, and AI is just exponentially like I am barely keeping up with what is happening in marketplaces with Amazon and Walmart, with what they can do with not just marketing and media, but also with, to your point, inventory, sales, logistics, the Amazon vendor negotiations, there's AI, so having this natural constant curiosity, along with what this persistence and boldness, that's what I look for. I always try to build a team with that in mind. And that's what I've taken with me through every role that I've had, especially over the last couple years.
I love that. And especially in this industry, it is, the most kind of critical knack of carving out the time and the desire to stay ahead. It requires that level of kind of curiosity and grit.
Yeah.
I've learned over time, like having the thickest of skins. Before I kind of dove into the e-commerce lane, I was like, I'm really good at what I do. And then every day I'm challenged with, I don't think I'm really that good. Like, what do I do next? So I can
Yes.
appreciate
Yes.
that. Yeah. And, with our audience, we have a ton of folks that have joined our community that wear a lot of different hats, from e-com teams, sales teams, brand side, agency partners. If you could leave us with one piece of advice that you would advocate for folks that can take action right now, what would that be?
That's great. What can you action on right now? I'm not getting paid to say this, but I highly recommend. I stumbled upon this. This is my like not I won't gatekeep this. I've been using this for the last 2 weeks, and I'm like, oh, I can't gatekeep this. This is so good. I bought something. It's $10 a month. Abacus.ai. Abacus.ai. It's $10 a
Okay.
month, and it's an LLM aggregator. So what you do is you put in your prompts like you would anything else, but then it is all the LLMs at once. So it will send your prompt to the right LLM and give you the answer. And then based on your follow-up, it could send it to a different LLM and to get the best
Wow.
answer. And if you need a deck, it'll send it to the deck creator. And lean into AI. Use it. It's hard to keep on top of everything, but this aggregator tool is a fun way, because now I've learned Claude is good at this kind of thing,
Yeah.
and ChatGPT is good at this. And that would be my one piece of advice, because it's not stopping. It's here and there's no going back.
I love it. And side note, if you all don't follow Aisha and sharing her perspectives and learnings on LinkedIn, please do that right now. That would be the other kind of action must do. But
Yes.
thank you for the hack. I'm going to do that as soon as we wrap here.
It's the best $10 you'll spend. It's so
Oh
worth
my
it.
God, it sounds like it. I cannot wait. Well, it's been so wonderful, Aisha, connecting with you again. Thank you for sharing from all spectrums of your experiences, and we'll be watching, cheering you on the sidelines. You're going to do big things, and Unilever's super lucky to have you work alongside them.
Oh, I appreciate that so much, Jen. And very similar. Patu is so lucky to have your energy, your passion, your leadership. And again, it was so good to see you. Thank you so much.